Alright guys, so for today's video we're going to be talking about breeding mealworms. As you can see here, we've got three boxes here, basic setup. These are shoe boxes, actually, plastic shoe boxes. This is the size of the lid. I do like to keep mine lidded. Some people keep them vented, it's personal preference. I think this gets you a little more humidity, so if you put the lid on, also prevents anything from getting in and out. Got drilled holes here, so if you guys want to do that, a little air ventilation obviously is key there. So basically this box has been going for some time here. You're going to have beetles, worms, and larvae in there. And then just so you can see up closer, here's the life cycle of how a worm works. Basically your beetle here lays eggs in the oatmeal, so we're used for substrate. I like oatmeal just because they can eat it and it makes for a good substrate for them. Those eggs are going to eventually hatch and turn into baby mealworms, which will grow into mealworms just like these. Those mealworms are going to then grow into, they'll eventually turn into larvae, which look like these little guys. This is the middle stage. Then once it hits larvae, it's going to go back to being a beetle, and that's when it'll be able to have more eggs. And those eggs are going to be what really what turns into everything here, because one of these beetles can lay thousands of eggs, and then they eventually go on to die. So we got beetles. Basically what this box is what one of these boxes will turn into at some point in time. This stuff here is actually turned over. It's all been, that used to be oatmeal here, and then right here we've got fresh oatmeal. This is fresh. I actually get the organic oatmeal, even just a little different there, something different and good for them. So basically what we have here today is, some people like to use 3 setups, 3 different boxes. I actually have multiple versions of these going on in bigger scales all over, to really max it out. But I wanted to do a demo for you guys to see what we're working with on a smaller scale. One box, this is it's about 14 weeks to make these, and one box can provide enough for half a dozen dragons easy, even if you're feeding them pretty heavy. This is a lot of mealworms here. There's probably several hundred in there at least. Basically, this is just more of a dietary add than it's going to be a staple. So discussing some of the tools that we've got here, I really like this. This is a mesh screen. A lot of times it's used for scooping out litter in your cage. I actually use it for this because by the time these guys are ready to go, they've chowed through all their oatmeal. It's so fine, it literally sifts right through the screen here, and you get all the worms right up top. So that's a nice little tool for that. Even some of the young babies go through. So that's the screen here. Nice size, nice little tool there. Also, not so much a tool, but I like to feed the dragons this. I'm sorry, not the dragons, the worms this. We got dragon feed. Basically, it's little pellets here, and this makes a nice little food for these guys. I'll throw this on something like this, and in just a few minutes they'll suck them down and they'll be turned over. You won't even see it. I also like to throw one of these in there about once a week. It is the butt ends of a romaine heart. It's the side I don't feed to my dragons. This is good for moisture. It keeps the humidity up, and they also can feed on that as well. So both things that they're eating to gain their sustenance is stuff you want your dragons eating. That's essentially gut loading from the get-go. You're setting these things up to be high in all the things you want your dragon to be consuming. So yeah, basically said, to get this going here, this is I actually am going to do it my way, but I'll describe to you both ways here. I prefer I take my beetles and my larvae, and since they're so close in time, this is really only a few weeks off, I'll throw them all in one and just let that cook. You get get all the beetles that are being here right now. You put them in here, and you do all the larvae as well. So you got beetles, larvae. You're gonna be really cooking there. This is, like I said, this started with 500. I just bought a little 500 packet of these, and now I got thousands. So definitely something to keep in mind here. If you want a closer look, this is, like I said, this box is on its last leg here. It's about to be turned over for a fresh start. I've been working my way through it here, getting everything sorted and whatnot, so these are all ready to go. Now some people will separate these out and they'll put them in here to continue growing. Some people like to have 3 setups. They go, they keep their worms in one, they keep their larvae in another, and they keep their beetles in another, and move larvae to beetles, this to larvae as necessary. But it's really not a big deal, because what I usually do here is I just take my scoop, I go through real quick, sift it out, sort out any of the nonsense, and you can get yourself a whole bunch of worms easily enough, So, no need to fuss with that. Now, for demonstration purposes today, let's do this. Let's take these worms here. Okay, so we're going to take all these worms here, and we're going to dump them into this box. As you can see, that's a lot of worms there. That's not even all of them from here. This is our feed. Toss it in. Toss that in over there. We're good to go. And this is set up. We'll take our beetles. And we'll take our larvae. We're going to let them go in there, and essentially this is going to turn into something like this, where there's just tons, which gets you all those basically. This was a one cycle here. Now this one will eventually be kind of a jump-started version of this, and this one's going to be a fresh version. This right here is going to go eggs, worms. This one's already got the worms. They're going to be feeding, continuing to grow. I'll pull them out from here, and then this is going to be where I'm just going to pull my ones for the moment now, and really get going with that. There's still eggs and whatnot in here too. So, but yeah, that's breeding for you right there. These guys don't really eat, so there's nothing to really worry about with that. They're pretty much going to just go on their way. You can take one of these too. Take one of these and put it right in here. That does give them, humidity, and also, also a source of water. So I'll grab another one for them, but for the time being, that's the video. Alright, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time, Bearded Dragon Stories.